And particularly, let's just talk about it, particularly after Kid Cudi. Let's talk about it.
Took the words out of my mouth.
We have to talk about Kid Cudi. Okay, so Kid Cudi was a great witness for the prosecution. First of all, I've never seen anybody show up in court as cool as this guy.
That's cool.
It's cool. He's wearing the leather jacket. He's smoking a cig, walking into the court.
Oh, he's ripping a bogue
right as he
there?
walked into the courthouse. No one has looked cooler than him. So he comes on. He comes on. He comes on the stand. This is a guy who doesn't want to be there. It is very clear that he doesn't want to be a part of this. He's not an employee of Sean Combs. He's not a friend of Sean Combs. He's somebody who got dragged in because he had been dating Cassie. And he testifies that his car was firebombed essentially by Sean Combs. And the reason he says that happened, who else would have done it at that time when Sean Combs was allegedly upset that Cassie was dating Kid Cudi. Now, excuse me, Cassie was dating Kid Cudi. And then he also says like he had this meeting with Sean Combs at, I think it was the Soho House, where at first Sean Combs says, like at first Sean Combs denied everything. And then at one point, like a few years later, he claims he came up to me and was like, I'm sorry about all that stuff. but he wouldn't admit that. But he was also like, I mean, this testimony, he said he saw Sean Combs and he goes, he looked like a Marvel villain. That's what he said. He goes, he looked like a Marvel villain. So he was a great witness. He was likable. I think the jury probably resonated. And more importantly, he helped to prove one of the underlying crimes of racketeering, arson. Okay? Then
you believe he proved that?
I think they had a fire investigator. It looked like his car was set on fire. Sure, defense could say maybe there was female DNA.
That's what happens. Cars catch on fire.
It was clear this car was set on fire, in my opinion. But it was the question was, did Sean Combs really have a part in it? Did he do it himself? Did he have his associates do it? There was female DNA. You know, I get what they were doing. Then another one, kidnapping was one of the other underlying crimes of racketeering. They had Capricorn Clark, one of Sean Combs' assistants. And she basically testified that Sean Combs brought her into a car, forced her into a car to go over to Kid Cudi's house. There was another instance where she claimed she was brought to like essentially this warehouse and forced to take lie detector tests. Cassie was brought back into that hotel room, in 2016. So all these are multiple instances of kidnapping. Bribery. Let's talk about bribery. So now I've laid out at least two underlying crimes of racketeering. Transportation to engage in prostitution. We talked about that before, the Mann Act. That's another underlying crime of racketeering.
Which they proved, yeah.
Again, if you're talking about the different components of racketeering, I don't think the jury had a problem finding underlying crimes. But while we're at it, let's just do it. Bribery. You got Eddie Garcia who took the stand, who said that Sean Combs paid him $100,000 that he split with two other people to give back
the tape.
The tape.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, this guy, a lot of these witnesses testified under immunity deals because he's like basically admitting what I did. And he said he got a voicemail from Sean Combs called him and goes, Eddie, my angel, you saved my life. I think this was compelling evidence. Drug distribution, drug possession with the intent to distribute.
Yeah.
How many drugs were,
I've had that question the entire time we've been talking tonight. They raided all his places. I'm not even talking about the baby oil, which is just creepy. But like they found these powdery substances and everything. How do you not get him with that?
They found drugs in his hotel room when he was arrested.
Yes. How do you not get him with that?
They found evidence of him engaging in a freak-off at the hotel.
There are guys in jail for life for weed, and they found all these crazy drugs on him at all times in every place. How do you not get him with that?
Like federal drug?
Yeah,
it's a good question. And I wonder, like, they also found firearms that would deface serial numbers. Like, that's a federal crime and stuff. I believe it is. So you wonder what it is. But I don't think I don't think the jury had a hard time finding at least two underlying crimes.
But again, it's just the prostitution things. Like, we're not talking about the guns or the drugs or whatever.
It's all part of I think they also are trying to build up the narrative. You see how he's a crime boss, right? You see he's using his security staff, he's using his assistants. But to establish the idea that everybody was on the same page, like the mafia is, everybody had a common purpose, it's tough because I think the best evidence that they had was, everybody was setting up, a lot of people were setting up freak-offs. They knew what was going on. That was the allegation. There was an assistant, David James, who testified early on in the trial, basically said, when I started, I was told, this is Sean Combs' kingdom. We're all here to serve it. They needed more of that. They needed more. Now,
what a line.
We haven't talked about this. There was a witness, there was a name that was brought up almost every day of that trial, brought up by almost every witness. Christina Coram. This is Sean Combs' purported former chief of staff, his alleged co-conspirator. If we're talking racketeering
Dickie
conspiracy.
Lane to his Epstein.
Right. Racketeering conspiracy. Who's the co-conspirator? It was her. She wasn't called as a witness. She wasn't called as a witness. You don't think the jury thought about that? The co-conspirator is not called as a witness. Why? Was it because they felt that she wouldn't be a beneficial witness to them? Maybe they felt they didn't need her when they have all of her text messages already, and that was enough to establish her.
That's strange, though.
Wasn't called as a witness. And you know, she might have been more of a harmful witness for the prosecution, but you got to wonder, a racketeering conspiracy, when he's the only one named, wouldn't you want more? You need more people. This is what the prosecution needed. I had no choice. Our job was to, you know, abuse women. Our job was, we all knew what the game plan was.
You don't even have to say it like that.
Just like
you could just say, you could literally just say, you know, I had my orders and this is what I did.
Yeah, I had my orders.
That might be enough.
My orders was this. Like, we all knew what it was. We all knew we were on the same game plan. We all, like, I met with Sean Combs. He said, firebomb that car. He's like, pick up Cassie. You know, like you needed more of that to make the case for the racketeering. That's why I was 50-50 with it. But you had a collection of witnesses. You had Mia, who claimed that she was sexually assaulted multiple times when she worked for Sean Combs. You know why that's important? Forced labor. That's one of the
forced labor.
That's another one of the underlying crimes of racketeering. So every day, every week was trying to check off one of the elements or one of the underlying crimes of racketeering. That's the case that they built.
Why weren't there any parts of this case that they built based on the tit for tat? That's not the right term here, but the allegations that Diddy, in order to get a record deal, you'd have to fuck him. We saw that. We saw this with men and women.
I think it wasn't either that didn't exist. Maybe there wasn't that on the face, but I think what they were trying to establish is he kept them down. He kept Cassie and Jane down from really earning money in other ways, so that he had financial control over their life. And, you know, there was a lot of testimony. He had control over Cassie's appearance, manipulation, deception, using that. Like, that's what they really tried to focus on, and not necessarily quid pro quo per se on its face. Maybe it didn't even exist.
You wonder how many of because we're talking about celebrities and a lot of this stuff too. You wonder how many of those people were approached and said, fuck you, I'm not talking.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Maybe. But it's interesting. I think they also didn't want this case to be too expansive and go down the rabbit hole and be too complex. I mean, it's already a complicated case. Try to keep it as specific as possible to get a conviction.
Really? You would do? I would think maybe, well, probably, I'm just being really naive on this as not a legal expert, but I would think a way to, like, let's say you could throw 25 charges at the problem and it just gives you a higher hit rate to hit on 6 or 7 of them, and they include a couple of the big ones, and you just make it so complex that the jury's like, fuck, he did some of this shit. All right, well, you know what I mean? Like, they got it down to, I would think in life where you're supposed to simplify things, this would be an example of where you want to go more not simplifying it.
You know, it's interesting. They charged him, and he immediately wanted to take this to trial.
Right.
Immediately. I wonder if he had made bail and he was out and they had more time to build a case and more people came forward and they got more evidence, maybe they would have hit him with different charges and more charges.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.